I'm excited for this podcast today. We've got someone that I've wanted to talk to for a long time. We've got Britany Williams, and I'm excited because we've got quite a bit to cover today. But I want you to be able to share some of the things that you've done. Like where I found you was on the Sweat app. You're one of that's where I started my own journey, which is where
Oh,
I
that's awesome. I didn't know that.
here. Yeah, I've got like a safe like little piece of my heart with Sweat app because when I share my journey of like first year of I didn't want to exercise at all. I couldn't handle anything. I did my firm VHS tapes. That was step one, which was still kicked my butt, my little 5 pound
Yep.
dumbbells. And then it went to the Sweat app. And at that point, it was just BBG with Kayla. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, we're talking like quite a few years ago. And so that is the story I always talk about when I would do my 20-minute exercise along with Grey's Anatomy for an hour because it was so hard for me. And so it's really fun. So then I did a little bit of power with Kelsey and then I moved on to creating my own programs and got certified. And so it's just
That's
it's really
awesome. I
like
love that.
yeah, it's important. Like it was just when I found you and came across you online, obviously I love learning from you, being a trainer also.
Thank
Um
you.
Hearing your stories, you share more. You have your own podcast that you share through. And so I thought this is someone that I want to talk to because you get it. And that's
Yeah.
talking about it's the whole, which is very generalized, but the whole mom life, taking time for ourselves, which is so hard to do. I don't know why. Well, I mean, which we'll talk about,
Yeah.
and balancing it with working kids. And you're amazing. You're a motivational speaker. You've got your own podcast. I mean, you've got this humongous, app where you help tons of people. And so if you I'd love to hear just, take a second and share with people what you do and well, I think you're amazing. For anyone that doesn't know,
Thanks.
you're amazing. And then we'll dive into it because it is work
Yeah.
and life and taking time for yourself is not always easy.
Yeah, for sure. So a little bit of background kind of I like to lay the land of like before I got into fitness because I think it definitely helps the mindset. I think there's a lot of fitness trainers out there who have been in the fitness world for forever and that's just what they know and love and they just kind of grow up in that world and start to get blinders on a little bit and it no longer can connect to your average person who fitness isn't their diehard passion. For me, I worked for 12 years at Under Armour, which I guess is fitness in a way, but I worked in front of a computer, sat for, 10 hours a day, working in sales, running financial calls and numbers and product presentations and decks and all the things, and got an itch for fitness. Let's see, 8 years ago, I was taking a bar class, a group bar class, and just was going to the classes and wanted to teach it. Like it just became this like obsession. Became a bar instructor, became a personal trainer, kind of the dominoes fell, so to speak, after that. And more of my time was shifted towards wanting to help other people in fitness than it was selling expensive shirts and shoes at Under Armour. And so I joined the Sweat app in 2020, quit my job at Under Armour in 2021, and since then have been a trainer of women around the world. And I really consider myself a motivator first, then just a fitness trainer. Yes, I'm certified. Yes, I can teach you how to squat properly and to help rehab your knee and to do a shoulder press. But really, what I'm trying to do is help women feel more at ease every single day in their workouts, in life, in motherhood, whatever it is. I'm trying to motivate you to be better if I had to like sum it all up into one. And so my journey has certainly evolved, right? I think in 2020, 2021, it was very much, I was brand new on the Sweat app. So a lot of what I was doing was all around promoting my bar programs. Eventually, I introduced a strength training program, and those have evolved over the years and have plenty more coming. But I also now, as a mom, and I had my baby at the beginning of 2023. Yeah, 2023. Um,
It was by fast.
I it does. I had to stop for a second. I really now have this kind of appreciation for women that I didn't have beforehand. And so now I've like added to my calling card. I want to rally and champion women and moms specifically and hype them up, or even not even just moms, but just I've always geared myself towards helping women in fitness, but there's just now this appreciation for women who are going through it, whether it is pregnancy, whether it is menopause, whether it is a bad breakup, like just the hardship that is womanhood. There's a soft spot for that where maybe I didn't have that soft spot in the past. And so now kind of my world has evolved to fitness, but also a generalized motivational sense. That's really where my podcast has come into play. It is part fitness, but it is some episodes are just me ranting about how hard it is to be a mom and, all of the things that come with that. And so I think that um, it's a long-winded way of saying I've had a kind of a weird journey that pivoted drastically when I was like, 32 or whatever year that was that I decided to go full time. But I'm so happy to be in a place where I can help women feel their best.
Mhm. And that's what you feel. I mean, that's why I enjoyed following you is because you nailed it. Like women go through so many different phases. Is I mean, we've got people that work with us and sign up with us and follow us that are younger, right? High school
Right,
girls in my
totally.
gym now, and I love it. Every time I see like my daughter's friends were there the other day and they're juniors in high school, and I was like, why are you in the gym locker room? Like, what are you
The
doing?
gym is like it's so trendy, I feel like for the
Yes.
younger
Yeah,
generations.
I
I
legit
love
was
it.
like, that can't be her. And then I was like, well, why isn't my daughter with you? And so it's so good to hear, like, because my fear having three girls was that they would grow up, like I'd walk by the mirror and I would see them like sucking in and sticking the butt out and like trying to
Yes.
be less. And that was always my
Hmm.
fear because I didn't have that with my mom being raised. So I didn't ever struggle with that. We all have our insecurities, but that wasn't something that haunted me that like it can. And, I see some of my friends go through this, and I just thought, I just want my girls to feel confident and to love their body, whatever shape or size, however it moves. And I love it now because these girls are at the gym. I'm like, you have
Yes.
bigger muscles than I do. Like,
It's so
it's
funny
a flip.
how like it's very easy. I feel like society is, and it is a real thing. Social media and the negatives of social media and the impact of mental health on teenagers this day is very real. Don't let me downplay that. But I think we also don't give teenagers these days as much credit because I think when I was growing up, I was that person you're talking about. I was sucking it in past the
We
mirror. I
all have
was
that minute.
like, I grew up in the 90s. Like, I just, the advertising of what a woman's body should be like was very different than what it is today. And I just want to give kudos to, I think, the younger generations for like not consuming content that is like that. First of all, I think that they are very quick to like point blame at companies who do that. But second, I think they're just healthier in general, both mentally and physically. Again, I recognize that they have a big elephant in the room that is social media that we didn't grow up with, but I do think that they generally want to be healthier from a mental health perspective. And like, I can't say that about our generation. Like, I don't think we were
No,
worried about our mental health at all. So,
no,
like, I have a little bit of faith in them that, like, yes, you've got this, Goliath ahead of you that is social media, but like, I also feel good about what the world that your teenagers are like. Well, the world is a little tough, but they've got good heads on their shoulders, hopefully, to go after it.
no, I do. I completely agree. And I have to remind myself at like 4 o'clock when I feel like the bus from high school drops off all the boys in their pajama pants and Crocs and they come to the gym and I'm like, no, no, I can't use anything. And you're all over it. And I was like, you know what? You could be off causing trouble. Like this is the best
Yeah.
for you to be.
Yeah,
But just that
totally.
reshift of like, oh my gosh, because they're loud and they're teenage boys,
Yeah.
right? But it is,
Yeah, right.
I also have a son. And so it's a teenager. And I was like, I'm so grateful he's in the gym and not doing whatever else they could be doing.
Yes. Yeah. Not on bikes, ruining a construction project or
No, or even
something. Yeah, that's
sitting in front of a computer screen
yes.
or whatever that we have balance.
Yeah, 100%.
But I just do, yeah, to acknowledge like I do love that there is a shift from the Calvin Klein skinny models when we grew up, and I was like, I'll never be that skinny, and now it's like it's the strong and the strength piece, and as women we go through that, right? Like our generations how we grow, and then we shift, and it's like you do college, and then you're on your own, and we shift again, and then it's like you start to have kids, and your body shifts, your movement shifts, like. I don't feel like mentally I can keep up with everything. And then there's still almost back to when we were teenagers, a little bit of the comparison game because it's like my other girlfriends have bounced back with their bodies faster after having kids, or why are they more patient, or how can they do both work and take care of their kids and be healthy? And then you get into menopause, kind of like you mentioned, and there's so many phases. I don't feel like it's ever like, haha, I got it.
It
I'm
never stops.
I
Yeah, it
conquered that
never
phase of
stops.
life and I'm good.
Yeah.
And then you get kicked in the butt
Yeah.
and you're like, wait,
Yeah.
what is this?
I truly think one of the best skills a woman can carry in her tool belt, so to speak, is like being able to feel confident in yourself despite the challenges that you have in life. Because if there's going to be one consistency in life, it's going to be that your body is going to be challenged. It's going to be tired. It's going to be picked, poked, prodded. Like some sort of liquid's going to be coming out of it. Something's going to be happening at some point. So if all you focus on is not trying to get all those things to go away, because they're going to be there no matter what your age, but instead focus on your mindset of how you handle life and the craziness when all that's going, like that is a tool that you can take with you. I don't care if you're 3 year old or you're 83 years old, like that's helpful. But like trying to get yourself to stop, looking a certain way, like you might be successful for 3 weeks, 6 months. Cool. I'm trying to live till I'm, 80, 90, 100. So like, who cares that I looked really good from May to June of 2025? Like it's a blip on the radar. Like I need to work on the things that I can take with me for the long haul.
I totally agree. That's why when my kids always say, "Why are you going to the gym again today?" I'm like, well, I've been going for a couple years now. Like, you should be used to it. And I'm like, the answer is so I can get off a toilet at 50, at age, well, not 15
Amen.
years, 20 years, 25 years down the road, and you don't have to come haul my butt up and off. And she's like,
Yes,
go to
yes.
the gym, mom.
Yeah.
Okay.
I always tell my parents, like, what do they want? What do you want for Christmas? Or they ask me, what do you want for Christmas? And I always respond back, like, if you could sleep better, because like sleep is supposed to like be tied to like Alzheimer's and stuff. Like, if you could go to the gym, like these, you don't buy me anything. If you could spend your time getting healthier, like as an only child, that's going to be on me.
This is
Like,
on
if
you.
you could take care of yourself so that it doesn't fall on me, that would be great. That's all I need from you.
No, it is. And so I want to ask you this question leading into that because it can be so freaking hard to start. So I
Yeah. Oh,
like
the hardest.
what you just said, but we're gonna take it to like every chapter of life because it's the same thing. I told my mom not long ago, Mom, like I do this for a living. Like, let me take you to the gym. She lives about a half an hour north. And with my dad, because they wanted to start getting healthier. Let me show you how to use all this stuff and set something up. And
Yeah.
um it had taken her a little while to do that. And we did it. And she messaged me today and said, I hate pushing. Why is this so hard on chest day?
Oh, that's
So I
adorable. I
said,
love it.
every one of my clients tells you that. This is amazing. That means you're challenging yourself. And so, she turns
Yeah,
70 next month. But it took a minute to get her started going, right?
sure.
Me, 37 years old, I first started looking at my nutrition, like for the first time, really ever. 38, I
Yeah.
finally started exercising. So what would be your thoughts of no matter where we are, because that's why I love where you are, where I wish I would have started when I was a little bit younger like you, but the stage of life you're in, having little children and doing it while you're pregnant.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how does a woman that's listening that wants so badly to feel a little more like herself, that wishes she could take time um to focus on some of these goals and to feel better, most importantly, move a little bit better, but look down and be like, I'm okay with my body, and then hopefully get to love it. Where do you tell them to start?
Yeah. I think that it's really easy to not know where to start in today's day and age because you've got 1,000 different people in 1,000 different camps of fitness saying that you should be doing this, you should be doing that. There's so many different ways that you can do the fitness.
Yeah.
Which way is the right way and which way supports my goals? And I truly think to start, you have to shut all of that off. And I suggest two things across maybe let's call it a 2 month period of time, but I think that dates are arbitrary. It could be 2 week period of time. It could be a 2 year period of time. I think that to start, you have to keep it very short and very simple. And that is, I'm talking, if you do not work out at all today, can you just move your body for 10 minutes and it can be a concerted effort to move? What does moving mean? I don't care. I really don't. I know that I'm supposed to tell you that you need to lift heavy and you need to get under a barbell because you need to strengthen or get more muscle and you help your bone density. There's all these things to worry about as we get older. Don't worry about it at the beginning. Just get into the habit. Your sole goal, I think, for the first month should be building a habit. And that means you could work out for 5 minutes, for an hour, for 10 minutes, but just start to get consistent 3 to 4 times a week. I don't care what you do. And then I think walking more. So getting more steps. I think those two things for the first, again, I say a month, but it could be a week. It's just enough to where you feel like I've established a habit because there's so much you have to get through. There's so much of, okay, I have to start waking up 30 minutes early. Well, getting used to waking up 30 minutes early takes a couple weeks. So, like, I don't want you to have to get used to that and be on week one of my program. I want you to show up to week one of my program already used to waking up early and ready for your workout. So like work out the kinks, find out what your schedule is, work out with your partner or your family, who's going to take care of the kids, how, do we have to change this, that, the other? Just find a way to make your schedule work and be consistent. Once that is done, I always say that the second step to me is find something you absolutely love. And I'll use the example of strength training. Yes, I think that every single person should strength train. I think there's a massive benefits, especially as we get older, but at every single age, to strength train with heavy weights. There are a lot of people who are intimidated by that. There are a lot of people who don't enjoy that. There are a lot of people who are yogis. They love something like bar, like Pilates. It's more of a flow. There's no stopping. There's not these long rest breaks in between standing at a barbell or at a machine at a gym. And if I tell someone to start at a machine at a gym and they absolutely hate machines at the gym, habit is going to die. And so I always say the next step is just do whatever it is that you love. Once you've built the habit, if you love yoga, Pilates, if you don't know what you love, try everything. Group fitness is great for this. Just try a little bit of everything to find something that gets you a little giddy for your workout. Because once you've established a habit, and then once you've found a love for what you're doing, then that third step is okay, let's sit down. Let's find you a workout plan that you should follow that fits your goals. If your goal is to run a marathon, okay, we need a running program. If your goal is to look quote unquote toned, even though I hate that word, cool. We got to get you a nutrition plan to lose fat. We got to get you a strength training program to build muscle. If your goal is just to be able to run after your kids, let's just find something that's pretty generic and maybe it's a little bit of everything. And it's kind of like a hybrid plan. Like all of that gets really convoluted and really messy really quickly because there's so many different options based on what your goal is. So I truly think spending time in finding what, lights a fire under your butt, which gets you passionate, and what is going to keep you consistent. If you don't do those two things first, it's really easy to feel intimidated by the complexities of fitness once you really get into attacking your goal. So to start, I just say, just start. 10 minutes. I don't care what you do. Maybe the walk of the dog becomes, instead of 5 minutes, maybe it's a 20-minute walk. Maybe you join a flag football league. I don't know what it is. Like what it truly can be anything, but it's just, I'm going to dedicate at least 10 to 15 minutes, at least 3 to 4 times a week. That builds the habit.
There's a couple things that you said that are so powerful that I want to recap to make sure people got those. One, it's just starting.
Yeah.
Just starting. That's it. Because the hardest piece is starting because, like you said, we feel like we should do 5 days in a gym. Perfectly well said. Walk 10 more minutes than what you usually walk because now you're accomplishing something. It's checking off. Because I tell people, I don't care what you do in the gym.
And it feels good. And it
Yes.
feels good to do it. You're like, I did something today.
Yes.
And you need to stack up a lot of wins at the beginning. They don't have to be sexy wins or big, massive PRs. You just need to be able to look at the calendar and say, I did that.
And a couple days in a row, and then a couple more days. Second thing that stood out so much is I want hopefully everyone listening noticed that you did not say that you work out because you want to lose fat.
Yeah.
You did not say you work out to lose weight, which is one of the main things I hear from people. What workout program should I do to lose fat or to weigh 130 pounds or to lose 50 pounds, which are all important things. I'm not negating that those are important things,
Sure.
Especially emotional connection to them. But I love that when you're just starting your journey, that it isn't, okay, I want to reach these results of fat loss. It's health. It's where do I want to be? And so when you're looking for movement type, it isn't what movement is going to help me lose the fat the most, the fastest, the quickest, right? As we know, that comes through your nutrition and your daily steps. But movement, that's why I love movement, because it has nothing to do with, and I should say, a very, very, very small piece of fat loss. So it's something like you said, find something that lights your fire. I love that that's what you focused on, because then it's not, well, I have to do this to lose fat on the cardio machine, or I have to do this class because my friend said she burned so many calories. But if you can focus, no, nutrition is the body, body fat amount comes mostly from how and much, and what I'm eating. But movement is something fun. Like that's the best part of my day is that you can choose a class because, like you said, you enjoy it and you show up day after day after day working on not how much workouts am I going to get done, but I'm working on becoming someone that has the habit. And you nailed that. Have the habit of showing up. So you're not, I don't think when I give someone a plan, like the goal is not to complete the workouts. The goal is to get consistent enough to show up and do something. And if it's the workout, if it's the HIIT cardio, if it's the walking, to your point, you can feel accomplished because that's more than what you did before. And it's something that changes the shape of your body, how you move, how you feel, builds confidence, and find something that you're passionate about. It still should challenge you, but passionate about. And then we can worry about the body fat from other aspects of the health journey.
Totally.
But
It's
if
so funny
people
too
see
because
that,
oh, go ahead. I feel like it's so funny too because whenever I get like haters on social media who are like questioning the validity of my like programs, for example, and I think that sometimes when I sell mainly dumbbell fitness, and I when I say dumbbell fitness, I mean like across the board, whether you're just following me on social media, whether you're with me on the Sweat app, like dumbbells is my medium. And every couple weeks, I always get someone who's like, "You're gonna have to lift heavier than that." Da da da. And I was like, "Yeah, there are certain goals in which a 20-pound dumbbell ain't going to cut it." But it is very short minded to think that the only goal that exists in life is to be as strong as possible. And I think that women specifically are very used to that marketing of I have to go into a gym and it has to be big and scary and I have to be grunting as I'm pushing that barbell up off the squat rack and it has to be fitness. And don't get me wrong, there is a place for fitness. And I think that everyone should try fitness at least once in their life because I do think there are massive benefits. But if I can't even get you to conceptualize lifting a 20-pound dumbbell, because there's so many women, so this is what I'm dealing with the most right now with moms, young moms, not young, meaning I should say new moms,
yeah.
is Brittany, what size, especially with the new year rush of people, I'm motivated, Brittany. What size dumbbells should I get? And well, what do you have at home? Okay, well, I have 5 pounds, and the 5 pounds is pretty hard. Okay, question for you. How old is your kid? And they're like, he's 2.5. Cool. He weighs way more than 5 pounds.
Yeah.
And when you carry him and the stroller and the grocery cart and all the things, honey, you're lifting so much more than 5 pounds. Like, if you think that you're going to get results from a workout where all you use is 5 pounds, and I guess in this case, results would be growing a muscle. If you think that you're going to grow muscle and the resistance that you use is less than the weight of all of the things in life, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's probably not the most efficient use of your time. And it's like this light bulb goes off. And it's like, I just want women to recognize that they are capable and it doesn't have to be at the gym. Like just because like there is a disconnect that like it either has to be 3 and 5 pounds and I'm in a bar class, or I have to be like at a gym loading plates up on a barbell. And I'm like, what about everything in between? There's a lot of good stuff happening in between those two worlds. And like that's where I like shout from the rooftops of like, guys, I think your goals are achievable more efficiently than what you're doing them. And it doesn't have to mean fitness.
And that's what I'm gonna think every time I'm moving a barbell now. This is what I'm doing. But
Fitness.
that's the beautiful thing of sharing, of just showing up and doing something. Because when I ask, like, how do you get someone to start? I think I did too. Like, I never in a billion years thought I'd ever be in a gym. I mean, it wasn't even something that I thought, oh, that would be nice to do. It was like, I don't do that. I mean, it wasn't even in my head. Athletes do that. I wasn't an athlete. Like, that's all I thought people went to the gym were for. And so as a
Sure.
stay-at-home mom of 4 kids, when I had my, okay, I finally got to start doing something to get healthier because I don't like how I felt. It was my 5 pound dumbbells to the VHS firm tape, like I said. And it
Yep.
was the confidence of, I can do this. Okay, whoa, I can do just a little bit more. And that's when I joined this BBG program for a minute. And I did that for just a couple months. And I was like, okay, wait, no, I can do way more than this. And my confidence grew. And then my confidence grew. And then I got to a point to where it was like training. And to your point, from where I started it with my VHS tape that I got at a garage sale to training now, wanting to master like the barbell press or deadlifts or like, very technical movements with as much weight as
Yeah.
I can. That to me is like training, right?
Yeah.
All of this in between, just like you said. And if women can listen to that and realize there's not a right or wrong, but identify where you are and then just challenge yourself, because you'll get to a point where it's like, well, how much can I lift? And that's my favorite
Yeah.
point.
Yes.
When they're like,
Yes.
oh, wait, Brittany, like you said, like, okay, if I lift my kidneys 50 pounds, then what else can I
Wait, hold on.
do?
How strong am I? Yeah, exactly. And it's so funny when you see the light bulbs go off, or like I tell someone like, have you ever thought about how big your quads are or your glutes are compared to your bicep? And are you using the same dumbbells for both? Like, have you thought about that? How like when you stand up from a chair, your glutes and your quads are taking on your entire body weight? Like Think about how
Yes.
strong you are. And it's like you start to see people put the light bulbs together. And I just like, anytime I get to like scream from the rooftops, like, you are stronger than you think. Like, yeah, it's going to be hard. I'm not going to sit here and say, like, oh, you can jump from a 5 pound dumbbell to a 50 and not feel super sore the next day. Like, sure, it's going to happen. But you'll be surprised at what you can accomplish when you let yourself accomplish it.
And that's, I mean, most of what you've said is resonating with that is just it's for the mindset, right? We want the
Yeah.
body to change, toned as everybody says, I get. Um, but it's like, what can you do with it? And then the benefits of the mental and the confidence that come with that uh, are, I mean, it's even what I'm doing. There's things now I wouldn't have ever dreamed I was doing, but it's taken me 6 years mentally to kind of get to where I need to be and believe that I can do it and I can do it safely.
Yeah.
And it's just
Yeah.
it's fun. So would you
But
say,
I
okay,
also don't understand how people go like into parenthood without that mindset. Like my husband and I joke about it all the time where I'm like, wait, people do this and they don't work out? Like, hold on. Like first of all,
that's what I
I
want to
need
talk
it
to you about.
I need an excuse to go away for a second. First of all, and second of all, like the true like up and down and this and that and the reach and oh, like my daughter almost fell off the chair today and I have to lunge and reach to catch her and like I caught her, don't worry. But it's like I would have pulled an oblique. You know what I'm saying? If like I don't work out, like how do people do this and not work out? Like it's a true question that I have yet to answer because
Like preparing for battle.
motherhood is a Olympic sport. It is a sport.
I'm 100%. So with that said, here's my question then. Um, how, I mean, this is honestly, this is probably going to go back to a lot of the same questions because as you know, and what I struggled with myself just a few years ago is starting, right? It's just
Mm-hmm.
starting. And so when we look at the different stages of life, where I am is a lot easier. I have kids, I've got 21, 19, 16, and 13. Three of them can drive. They don't even all live in my house anymore. And so when
Yeah.
I have my day, I wake up and I just leave and I text good morning, when later, but they get themselves off. They make
Course.
their lunches, they lock up. And so then it's like, wow, I've got hours. I can do my own meals. Like I can get it done. Is it still easy? No, not all the time. Is it still hard to start? Yes. But I don't have as many things. I call them resistance against
Yeah.
starting and staying. So
Yeah,
why
there's
I was
not as
so
much
excited,
friction.
yeah. So because we look for reasons to not do it. We're interested in it. We're interested in changing the shape. We're interested in feeling better and moving better. But being committed to it is a whole other ball game. And it's hard. We're putting in money, right? Paying for a program and then having to follow the program if we put the money into it and showing up when you don't see results. And that can be hard. So I love the stage of life you're at to where you're doing things I didn't do. And
Yeah.
I wished I would have because I got to a point. So I want you I want to hear your perspective because I got to a point to where I didn't start till my youngest was last year preschool and the first year of kindergarten, right? That transition time
Okay.
period. So
Yep.
almost going into
Yep.
first. And I didn't like how I felt. I finally hit the point of I'm cranky, irritable, tired. Stay at home mom before my husband traveled each week. And so it
Oh,
it's a lot. And so you get in bed at night and you just are like, I failed at everything, right? It's that mom
yeah.
guilt of like, why did I yell 4 times? Why didn't I be more patient here? Why am I not the mom that does puzzles and reads 80 books a day? Like, I
Oh,
don't have the mental capacity or the personality to do that. And I love my children. I spend time with them. I'm a home mom. It was so hard. So then the thought of like exerting myself one more way that was a little bit challenging, I just viewed it at that time. And that's why I'm excited to hear your perspective now from what you just said. Is to me, it was just one more thing pulling at me. I didn't understand the benefits. So I
yeah.
waited till my kid was in first grade at all day to go. And then I looked down at my body and was like, I don't even recognize my body. Like, this is not me. I sat in the toilet and like, why are my thighs so far over the toilet? Like, why doesn't this
Mm,
fit the same? Why, so
right.
many things I didn't recognize. And I wished I would have started earlier, which I think most people say. But I'm just grateful I started almost 40. For those that are where you are at right now, where you've got younger children and you've done it through pregnancy also, I
Yep.
was on the couch eating Cheetos and watching Grey's Anatomy. And so when I
So,
talk to
so was
clients,
I, but I also was working out.
and that's what I'm
To be
asking.
clear,
Yes.
I
And that's
also ate lots of. I always say that my daughter was, she was, she's just what you do when if you just eat Sour Patch Kids, that's what pops out, like the candy. Like she just this is Like that's
The
all I
physical
ate.
manifestation.
Like,
No, I want to
yeah,
hear from, and I guess, and there really was a question in that was,
yeah,
I couldn't bring myself to do it. And it was just like, why could I not put the time or the money or value myself enough? I felt like crap. I didn't like what I saw when I looked down. I couldn't keep up with running around my kids. It wasn't until like I had more ideal situations. And at that point I was interested in like helping women and finding a job. And so I even had more of a reason to kind of help me. To all of the women that are starting, whether they've been doing it for a little while and struggling, or those that are like, I've gone through transition and I've just had a child or a second child, or maybe even you feel you put on some body weight later in life or with menopause. How do you how do you start, and how did you find the balance with having children is what we'll focus from this moment. Having children and still doing it. And I loved what you said when it was, I needed a moment because I would be a better mom or human or wife or
yes,
spouse. And I missed
yeah.
that whole thing. I wish I would have known.
Yeah. Yeah. And to me, and this kind of theme has come up so many, so my, for frame of reference for everyone listening, my daughter is 21 months and it's just the one. And I have realized so many times in this theme of like, if I don't take care of myself, and whatever taking care of is different based on the day, the month, the week. I'm not as nearly as good of a mom. I don't show up the same. Even my husband kind of called me out. He's like, "Hey, you just haven't been like you with Blake, my daughter." And she kind of sees that and she kind of gets like frustrated with me a lot because like I've just been really busy at work and kind of I've been sitting there with her playing, but you can tell that my brain's, the gears are going elsewhere. And so my husband kind of called me out like, "Hey, you've got to put work aside and like spend your time with, like, if you need to take the hour to go work and then come back and be here 100%." And to me that's what, and it makes sense with work.
Yeah.
I think the exact same thing with working out. Like I do not feel good if I do not move my body. Kind of like how you were feeling, when you kind of got to your boiling point of something has to change. And I think a lot of women can resonate with that of just you wake up, either you look at your body or you feel your body, and it just either physically or mentally, emotionally feels off and foreign and not yours. And
Mhm.
it is so hard to show up 100% when you don't feel 100%. And so for me, it's a you can't pour from an empty cup kind of mentality of like, I need to take the 30 minutes, 20 minutes. I'm not talking like, oh, I do hour-long work. I'm just now at my kid's almost 2, back to doing a workout that's like an hour long. Like I've been rocking. I said it, my Garmin actually like rings at 30 minutes in the middle of my workout. And I kind of give myself permission. If it doesn't matter if I'm in the middle of a step, I drop those dumbbells and I'm out. It doesn't matter how whatever I got done in that 30 minutes is what I got done because I have to do something if I'm going to give her 100%, and she deserves my 100%. But I have to step away and make sure that I have my ducks in order if I'm going to show up to help her clean up her ducks. She got a lot, the kids got a lot of ducks they got to keep in order. And so to think that you can pour from an empty cup, and to think that you can just keep pouring day after day after day and eventually not run out of water in that cup,
Yeah.
it's not realistic. You're going to burn out. You're going to get tired. You're going to get angry. It's going to cause something's going to, or your health will go awry, right? Like the body is going to tell you that something is off and it's going to start acting accordingly. And that's when you really can't parent the way you want to, right? When you have health issues and you're having, and I'm not even talking about health issues that necessarily like are debilitating. And so like, oh, I can't take care of my kid because I'm laying in bed. I'm just talking about you have to go to more doctor's appointments than normal because like you can't sleep right or you've got this weird pain. And so now you're having to go to PT and your primary care doctor and you're having to get an x-ray of this, that, or the other. Like all of that takes time. And that's time away from your kid. So I'm not even talking about like, oh, you just don't feel good, so you're not happy for your kid. I'm physically talking about like, if you have to go to a lot of doctor's appointments because you're not taking care of yourself, that's time that you're going to have to get a babysitter or work with your partner or whatever. It's time away from your kid. And I think that if you just take the time to fill up your cup with movement, with better sleep, with hydration, with nutrition, whatever that one thing is, and I think in the early days of postpartum, it's really hard to do them all. You're probably not going to get a lot of sleep. You may not eat healthy, or maybe you will, and you may or may not work out. So I'm like, just pick one. I did not eat very well during postpartum or honestly during pregnancy, like I said, because like it was so exhausting to like show up and like make a nice meal. but okay, I'll show up for 30 minutes and work out. So maybe your thing isn't working out. Maybe your thing is like, I'm just going to be not obsessed at a healthy level. I'm going to, really make sure that my nutrition's dialed going into postpartum. Great. That can be your thing, but pick something that helps you keep your cup replenished so that you can keep pouring for that kid, because the kid is going to ask for a lot. And that's why I joke that I'm like, how are people not taking care of themselves? Because like, I feel like it's funny. With New Year's and that sort of thing, I don't really drink much, but I had some champagne on New Year's, and I didn't have very much. But the next day, I can't even say I felt hungover. I didn't. It's just, you just get. I didn't sleep well because your body's just hot. I get really hot when I drink, and I'm like, how does anyone parent this way? Like I'm so hot. I can't even like I wasn't even hungover. I just was like, I cannot sit here and color and sing Baby Shark while I am burning up. Like I can't do this. And it's just like, how do people think that that is sustainable? Like, and again, it doesn't have to be alcohol. Like you can drink if you want to drink. I'm just using that as an example. But like once you start filling up your cup and pouring from a full cup, it almost becomes addicting. You're like, oh my God, this is so much easier. And anything that we can do to make parenting easier, we'll take it.
It is. It's parenting is, I didn't realize you just don't, I didn't realize the hormonal aspect either. Like have how I,
Oh,
so you nailed
yeah.
everything. I mean, there's lack of sleep. There's so many things. It's new. You're trying to balance whether it's work, relationships, other kids. Yeah. And I mean, we could have like a whole community of just women that can just lift each other up with the trials of like some of the things. And obviously there's millions of things that are great about it. But the reality is it's hard and it's exhausting. But I
Yeah.
just didn't think the hormonal side, like I would get angry and I was like, I don't understand why I'm getting angry. I'm not an angry person. Why am I lashing out? Why can't I control my emotions better? And I think if I had just had an outlet to take that out on and, and,
Yes.
and to do something for myself for just a moment, because that's, I think where the exhaustion comes in is like, I've been serving, all of you all day and they're children not
Yes.
meant to serve me back, but where I get that back. And I wrote that down. Fill up your cup is going to be my motto for this
Yeah.
is
Mm-hmm.
take like almost to the point of begging from someone that has kids in a younger age, me, the older one, the kids
Yep.
super old. And I'm now setting examples for them because they're old enough to see, well, how does mom respond? How is she handling this? Like, how does she cope with stuff? And I tell them every day, my daughter, it was funny. This was maybe a year ago. I don't know if you're like me, but one thing that calms me down is when my kids like just play with my hair or like braid it or they'll brush it. And I'm like, I will stop anything. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's relaxing. It's like less
I
stress.
love that.
And so she came by and I was just kind of starting to bark a little bit of orders or just little things. And she starts really fast. Like, mom, calm down. Have you been to the gym today? Have you been to the gym today? And that's what she kept saying. And I'm like, yes, I went to the gym. She's like, you need to go back. You're getting
You
really
need to go back.
old. And
Oh my gosh.
it was good. Like, I'm glad that it wasn't another habit they said you need to go do. You need to go, I don't know, drink or shop or whatever it may be. But it was just they recognized that I feel better when I can work through my problems by exercising. I like to challenge myself. And there's some days where I go, like when I went through my divorce 2 years ago, I bawled every day I was in there. And that's what got me
Yes.
through. It wasn't, I had zero focus on growing muscle, maintaining muscle. It was survival for me, but that saved me. And there was a million cable towers and treadmills I cried on. I don't know what people around me thought, but it was an outlet for me going through something crazy. Like, because I didn't tell anyone, no one had any clue what was going on. And I'm just
Sure.
like, bawling, but I could process through my emotions, and movement does that for all of us in different ways. And so I think the next question for you is, especially at this age to where I feel like I'm busy, right? We create our own busyness, generally speaking. I'm busy by different things than you are with younger kids. And so as I left the gym today, I thought of this today as I'm walking out and I'm racing down 30 minutes south to go to another meeting. And the cute younger girl with two little kids, one in her arms and one, hanging on her fingers, comes into the gym. And she was just telling, thanks for coming with me. Mommy's got to come to the gym today for a few minutes. And I wanted to like hug her and say, I see you. Like,
Yes.
I see you. I can't imagine how hard it was because I was walking out the door at 8:30 a.m. So mine finished. I was leaving
Ooh,
by
she got both those kids out. Yep.
for her to wake them up, which I can't even speak because I did never do this with my kids, but like for her to wake them up, to get them dressed. It's freezing where we are in Utah.
Yeah.
Like snows everywhere.
Yeah.
It's so cold. battling that's probably breakfast time. They want to play or watch a TV show and to prioritize and pay for the gym membership, pay for the daycare. As it's this newer mom trying to feel healthier. And I wanted to just like literally high five and say, like, I see you. You may think this isn't working or that no one sees it or no one is appreciates it or it's not doing anything. But I promise you, like, where you will be at the later end of today, whether you'll be at the end of this week, end of this year. So what do you suggest? How do we tell women with any reason that they are not exercising or movement of any kind when they say I'm too busy? What do you say to moms? Because mine is busy now. Like my reason to touch on the older is a single mom, 4 children. I don't have a house cleaner. I don't have a cook. I don't have a yard person. I own my own business. I work probably no joke 80 hours a week. I get busy. Like, it's one of
Yeah,
those like let's not have a busy who's busier contest.
sure.
Just because I've made myself by my own choices, I get busy. And so I'm able to help and coach and give ideas. But with little kids, how do you suggest, hey, I'm busy. It's this time of life is too hard.
Yeah. I think first and foremost, you have to recognize that everything's a phase of life. And so I deeply feel that in the first, and I'm going through this phase, so I can't tell you when the phase ends, but I know that it does end. But my guess is when kids go to school, true kindergarten, first grade, that's when this phase ends. But you're in a phase of life where you may not truly have all the time that you want to have. Period, hard stop, and that's okay. And you may not have an hour. And I can sit there and I can look at your schedule and we can try to squeeze it in. But if it isn't going to be an easy, achievable hour for you and it's going to require you to move mountains to get an hour, then let's not say you have an hour. Then let's say you've got 30 minutes. Because here's the thing, I can guarantee you everyone has 30 minutes. I have a new program coming out and it's no more than 25 minutes because I can tell you there's so many people who are like, I only have 15 minutes. I can promise you, if you have 15 minutes, you actually have 30. But like, I get that I can't, like, I gotta also like get people to take my program. So I'll meet you in the middle. But like, you probably have 30 minutes. You may not have an hour. I think that's very real with kids, whether it be nap time, whether it be waking up while they're early, while they're asleep in the mornings. Like, you may not have an hour, but you definitely have 30 minutes. And coming to terms with 30 minutes being enough. Coming to terms with a good workout does not have to be super intense. Coming to terms with I can, go for a walk for my workout. Like, to me, it's reframing what success looks like. You're too busy, yes, to do what you think fitness should look like. Spending an hour at the gym, getting in the car, driving to the gym, spending all the time between the machines, taking a group fitness class, doing all the things, catching up with your girlfriends at the end of the group fitness class, taking a shower, then meeting your friend Sally to go to the school drop off. You probably are too busy to do all of that. But you aren't too busy for 30 minutes in your house. You aren't too busy to drop your kids off and then run a couple miles. Like, I think that reframing what success looks like changes the definition of how much time you actually need and if you really truly are busy or not. I think something as simple as like, can you get a treadmill? Can you get dumbbells in your house? Can you, like, there's so many different ways you can start to think about it. One thing that I think is generally only works for people who live in cities, but one thing that I did, not with a kid, but I think it applies in this mindset, when I was working for Under Armour and for Sweat at the same time. So running 2 full-time jobs at the same time, which I do not recommend anyone do. I would run places. So if I had to run an errand, I would run there. And like, I know that sounds silly, but like, legit put on my running shoes and like, oh, I have to go to the doctor. The doctor's office is 2 miles away. I'm going to run to the doctor's office. Like, I know that sounds silly. And again, this doesn't apply to everyone, but that mindset applies to everyone of like, I did not have the time to work out back then, but I have to get things done, right? I have to go do these things. Where can I fit in fitness? Can you get a walking treadmill and stick it in front of your TV? If you have to watch Grey's Anatomy, great. I have no problem with that. But can you walk while you do it? Can you start doing 100 squats while you brush your teeth before bed? Like, it's reframing. You don't have the time. I am with you. Do you have 3 10-minute segments during the day? Can you do lunges while you dry all of your Tupperware that comes out of the dishwasher and like never really seems to be dry? Do you know what I'm saying? Like can you reframe what fitness is? And once you start to do that, you start to realize you do have the time. It just looks different than what you probably thought. But I think that fighting a busy mom and telling her that she needs to spend an hour in a gym that is 20 minutes away from her house is not realistic for everyone. Some people it is, like that woman you saw, like say I'm with you. I would have been like, kudos, girl. Like I am proud of you. But like not every day is it going to be that way. So it's like you got to reframe your mind of what success looks like. And then you really got to set up your systems, whether that be babysitters, parents, partners. You have to bring them in on this journey with you. And that can be difficult, right? Like my husband and I had a conversation early on. He works out quite often as well. Um, and we just said like fitness has to happen. So like you're gonna ask permission, quote unquote, to do things. If he wants to go golf, I want to go have dinner with some girlfriends. Like you have to be like, hey, can I'm gonna go do this. Like, can you stay home with Blake? Not because like we need to have people's permissions, but like someone has to stay with the
Yeah.
baby. Like that's just you're that default person, my partner. And so we decided that fitness, you never have to ask permission for fitness. It, that's something that the same way that he doesn't have to say like, hey, can I go to work today? I know I work from home. He works out of the office. Like I'm the one that picks her up and drops her off at daycare unless we discuss it. Fitness is always on the table. You're never allowed to tell that person, no, you can't work out today. Like
Oh, that's
that's something that we have to make work. And we kind of had this just moment of like that's a non-negotiable in our schedule. If you need to cancel date night because you didn't work out, I'm okay with that. Because like in that it's a hard conversation. It's not hard. It's an awkward conversation to have because it like doesn't seem like it's important. But when you start treating fitness like it is that important, it's amazing that you do actually have the time.
well, you said that perfectly because could you imagine asking somebody not to sleep? Like, I don't want you to
Right.
sleep. There's no sleep for you, right? And you're
Right.
like, that's crazy. I'm going to crash tomorrow. And you know all the effects, Alzheimer's, all the things that will come with lack of sleep or
Mm-hmm.
too little sleep.
Mm-hmm.
But movement, and I didn't realize this till I was almost 40. Did I make it a priority? That movement has such an impact that it should be, you said perfectly, a non-negotiable, and whatever kind of movement. And that's, it's like the best thing
Yes.
you can even do is just walking. Like I didn't realize the
Mm-hmm.
power of walking, not only for body fat loss, but mental clarity. I can, steam off, whatever I'm angry or upset or stressed about. And the walking like gives me so much more clarity. And I think all of that will help us when we joke about like wanting to get off the toilet, at age 80,
Yeah.
90 by myself, but I'll be in a better mood also because
Yeah.
my
Because you can
body's
do it.
used to it. Yeah, the mental, my gosh. I mean, that's like I said, going back, that's what saved me going through my separation and divorce and like helping my kids. And it was just having some outlet. And I feel like whatever changed because think how many times that, new moms, I remember thinking this between a couple of my four kids of how the heck am I supposed to do this? Like I didn't feel
Yeah.
qualified to be a mom and I can't stay on top of it. And like we were referencing before, like you have moms that seem to like that mom does all the play dates and does the cooking with them, the baking, and they're playing with the kid all day. I'm like, I can't do that all day. That's just not even my personality. And then you feel bad, or it's like, how does that mom work and exercise and play with their kids? Or maybe compared to a sister or to your own mom. And it's one of those that's really hard because you want to show up so badly for your child in the best way possible. And we're so harsh on ourselves. I look back now that most of my kids are, they're getting mostly raised. And it's like, did I set the best environment? Did I set the best example? Did I show them priorities in life? Did I teach them to love
Right.
themselves, love their bodies? It's so much pressure. We don't talk about that.
Yeah.
And so
It's
the
so
mental
hard.
health, that's where movement helped me.
Yeah, I think too, one thing that I really try to help my clients, my members see is like, so you talked about that woman who seems to be doing it all. She's the PTA mom, she's at
Yeah.
every soccer practice with the orange slices, she's doing everything. And that when I hear that, like even just when you were saying it, I'm like, that's endurance. That's endurance of the mind. And one of the ways that you can build endurance in the mind is working out. If you go to a HIIT class, if you want to run a marathon, like running a marathon is a perfect example. It doesn't even have to be a marathon. It can be a half marathon. It could be a 5K. That is one of the best tests of your mental endurance of doing something that I'm a huge runner and I can admit that running sucks. It's not very fun. I like the feeling after I'm done. I don't like the feeling during. And I feel like if you train for a 5K, 10K, half, full, ultra, doesn't matter what you're doing, that is such a good way to test your mental endurance, your ability to stick with it, your capacity for work. And that's actually one of the reasons why I love bar workouts, Pilates, yoga, things that are more muscular endurance exercises, because to me, it's like you're working on your capacity for work. You're building your capacity to stay in it, to stay in the work, the hard stuff. And to me, that's what motherhood is. It's hard after hard after hard after hard after hard, not to like be a Debbie Downer, but it's you're just stacking days, especially in the winter these days when you've got like daycare sicknesses and all of like I swear my kid has been sick for the past 3 months. Like we put her in a daycare and she just has had what they call the daycare drip, just sniffle, sniffle, sniffle every single day. And that requires a level of endurance. And if you can practice that mental endurance in your workout and you've got proof, you can pull up your Rolodex and say, man, I used to not be able to do, a 15-minute workout. Now I can do 30. Now I can do an hour. I used to be able to do 0 push-ups on my toes. I can only do them on my knees. Now I can do one on my toes and five on my knees. And then eventually I can do five on my toes and 10 on my knees. Like you can start to build examples of how you're tough and how you can handle good and hard things. And once you've got examples that you can do it, like for me, that's when I'm like, I got this. Like there just becomes a point in time where you're like, wait, I can do hard things. I can stay in the work. And like if you start to think of your workout as practice, like let's work on all the things. I used to say this when I taught bar. I'd be like, let's work on all the things in these four walls so that we can be better outside of the four walls. Like, let's work on it now. Let's practice our patience with ourselves. Let's practice our positive thinking. Let's practice, oh my gosh, it's really hard and I just want to quit. Like, because it's bar, holding poses for a long time and it starts to burn and you're like, oh, I don't want to do this. Stay in it because that exact moment happens in real life where you're up against the friction in life and you're like, oh, I don't want to do this. This sucks. It's getting really hard. And that's when you have to keep going. Practice that in your workout and it applies. And it's just like those little shifts of like the mom can do it all because she's proven to herself that she can do it all. And first of all, as a disclaimer, she ain't doing it all. She's failing. Her house is a mess or
Because you
something,
can't
right?
do it
She's
all.
not doing it all. You can't do it all. But you can do a lot of things once you start to believe that you can do a lot of things and that you can make the time and you can have the effort and you can have the energy. But you've got to be able to prove that. Like, I can't prove that to you. I can tell you, listener, 1,000 times over, you can do it. But until you actually start to do it a couple of times, you're just going to think I'm, blowing smoke. And I think working out is just such a great example of like, if you are struggling with self-confidence, I promise you, I don't care what workout you do. You can do a Zumba, shaking your booty, learn how to twerk on YouTube 101 videos. You will, if you just stick with it for a month, you can look back and say, dang, I did it. I know how to twerk now. And like, that's progress. And you can use that confidence in life. Again, truly, even if it's just twerking.
I love that. It is. There's anything. And like you said, it's a sense of accomplishment because I don't like running, but I also don't take the time to go out there and do it. And I've never gotten the runner's high. I've tried,
Yeah.
I've done all that I need to do, and I'm like, my gait's not right, I'm not breathing right. But when you do something, there's other things where I've done and I've like pushed through. The sense of accomplishment is just like our little kids when we see them like on the soccer field, right? And they score a goal and they turn around like, did you see that? And then they want like a huge hug.
Yes.
They talk about it for days or like,
Yes.
look at the grade that I got on this paper, or they're excited. And I feel like as adults, sometimes we lose that because we give it so much, right? That's our job. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's important
Mm-hmm.
to give. But I love when you say like taking that to a movement, doing something that's a little bit challenging, enough that you can show up to do it. So not
Yeah.
overwhelmingly, but
Yeah.
challenge enough that it makes you a better person. Well, to wrap up, we can conclude with the perfect example you gave of holding a dumbbell with someone with an older child. Because I always will tell people, like, when think of it as like walking up the stairs with your body weight, your body's used to that. You're not going to get a bigger bicep or quad by walking up the stairs, but you hold more things walking up the stairs. that will grow because now your body's like, wait, 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 this is not what I'm used to walking up the stairs. It's got to produce more for the more load.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
when someone does that actually and then moves that weight, even if it's going from a 5 to an 8 pound dumbbell, right? It doesn't have to be huge.
Right.
That moment of when you're like, did anyone just see me? And it's so empowering. And you're like, crap, nobody's in my house. But
Yeah.
that I think a lot of us get into coaching because for one, we've probably experienced it ourselves. Like I've lived that.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I saw a bicep or a tricep line, was walking past a mirror and the light just hit perfect. And I was like,
Mhm. Like, wait a
what?
minute, what is that?
Oh my gosh, because I just always had like a stick and it was like
Yeah.
moving and it was a baby ripple. But that's why, and I guess kind of conclusions like where we started there. I understand that fat loss is important. I understand that's a thing to a lot of us, myself. That's how I started. I get that you want to look a certain way. Another topic, we'll have to talk again, a different topic of nutrition steps and on that
Yep.
to cover like the joy of movement, why
Yeah.
we move and all that comes from it. And yeah, it's those little things of challenging yourself to where you can see that little the baby line and it's building.
Mhm.
So instead of like again, we talked about like my daughters or you and I standing in front of a mirror and trying to be as thin as possible. I'm not discounting that we want to have a good shape and look a certain way.
Sure, of
But
course. Yeah.
the second you see that mirror and it's just picking apart what we don't have yet. And I love that with strength training, because I used to be that girl, I now switch to like, oh my gosh, I built something. Or oh my gosh,
Yeah.
like I can see this little line. And then I remember what I was able to move earlier that day. And the focus on building a stronger, healthier you versus a skinnier version, right? And
Yep.
we'll get to the point where you're leaning out to where we can see the muscle, but
Yeah.
that power of building, oh my gosh, is just so, so key, I think, to then taking that confidence to every other aspect. So
Oh,
make motherhood
100%.
easier with little kids that stomp all over your toes or teenagers where I'm so worried of like, you were out with who doing what, when? Like, it's just such a different like battle, and you've got to be mentally strong on both of those. And so I just appreciate all of your time and sharing. And is there any last thing that you would love to be able to share with anyone listening as like a last hurrah, like do not give up?
Yeah, no, I think the biggest thing is just take the time to find what's important to you and find what you love and enjoy. Kind of going back to that and that first piece that we talked about of like how to start, get clear about what brings you joy. And when things get hard, whether it's during postpartum, whether your kids are, going to college, whatever it is, when things go hard, default back to what brings you joy. I think that that's going to take you further than what anything else. And if you don't have something that brings you joy, then I think that you've got to do a little bit of soul searching because you've got to have that thing that fills up your cup, And again, like I said, it could be twerking 101 on YouTube and that's fine. But like, what type of movement truly brings a smile to your face? You will keep coming back to it in times of need, and it will really serve you in ways that are so much larger than just the way that your body looks.
No, I think that's powerful. And we want women to feel good. We want them to look in the mirror and feel worthy and recognize these bodies and the gift they are through all that we put through it. And that's to conclude, also, I want to share with everybody that, especially if you're going through the phase of pregnancy, motherhood, those
Yeah.
first years,
Yes.
which I wish I would have had then because I'm now like, I could guess I can get them for grandkids soon. But it's your
Sure.
survival guide through pregnancy
Yes.
and through that first year. Take just a second and
Yeah.
anyone that's in that space, what is that?
Yeah, so I launched this motherhood survival guide for pregnancy in the first year, and it's truly a resource toolkit for anything and everything that someone could need during pregnancy and the first year. And I'm not a doctor. This isn't from like, oh, Britany is an expert. This is so much of pregnancy and that postpartum phase feels alone. You're Googling everything. And then there are things that you don't even think to Google until after they happen. And I wanted to have a one-stop shop for all of those things that you could have and feel seen and heard. And so it's a collection of things that I've learned from other experts, like sharing actual links, like something as simple as like, how to fly with breast milk, how to ship breast milk if you're a
Yeah.
working mom, things of like, here's what to not waste your money on in your registry. Here's how to like find car seat inspection safety technicians to help you put your car seat in. Here are really good gift ideas for, first birthday or first Christmas, what have you. Here's how to baby proof your home. There's just so much, like, you don't know what you don't know. And that sentence, you don't know what you don't know, is like new motherhood to a T. Like, you get ushered into this world, whether you were planning to be pregnant or not, you get ushered into this world where, like, there's no way of knowing all the things unless you go through it. And I so desperately wanted a friend to text, and eventually I got one. But I constantly wanted a good girlfriend to text, being like, "What do you think about this? Like, is this worth spending $1,000 on? Or what about that? Or how do I do this?" And this guide is a one-stop shop for all of those questions. And what I love about it is that it's a living document. So, like, as I'm learning things, I add things to it, and you purchase it one time and then it's yours for forever. But I just wanted a resource for moms to feel seen and heard and have help. And again, that help does, yes, there's little voice notes for a lot of things where, like, I will tell funny anecdotes about my own experience and, like, silly things that happened with my daughter. But it's more of like, here's what the industry says, here's what the experts say are, like, best. And then, of course, so it's kind of like a half mix of my own personal experience, but also like an aggregation of everything that is out on the internet in one place.
That's what I love though, because it's being able to be relatable to one other person saying, "Oh, it's not just me. Oh, wait, I thought that
Right.
was it's wrong." But the
Oh, yes.
relatability, because it's so, I mean, anytime we start something new, but especially growing and birthing and raising a human being,
There's
when
so many things.
you haven't done it before and you want to do a good job and you want them to be safe and loved and but even your own recovery. And so I love that you cover
Yep.
both enable so anyway, as far as fitness tips and things, you're Britany Williams, right, on Instagram.
Yep. At
So
Brittany Williams.
find
Yep.
you there. And all of this will be in the show notes for people to be able to find it. And I'll include the link for your guide also. So
Awesome. Thank
you're
you.
able to help them with like the mental, the physical side, but then also that piece is so great because it's the how to, which I think is sometimes the most,
Mm-hmm.
it's
For
like,
sure. And I think
how do
that
I
it
do
just,
this?
knowing that you're not alone, I think is half the battle with motherhood. Like, the minute you realize, wait, I'm not alone. There are billions of women who have done this exact same thing before me. Things get a little bit easier and you can sigh a little bit more. And that's my goal, is to provide that to moms.
Yeah. And if they all survive, then we will too. So
Yeah.
it's
Amen.
just finding those little moments to make the most of us. We can show up the best because we want the woman to feel amazing, the best that she can, so that
Yep.
she can show up for her family, whatever that looks like, to the very best that she can. And I feel very, I mean, I know you feel the same way of just being grateful for the jobs that we have and being able to,
Oh, 100%.
having
So
experience
blessed.
that help. So thank you for sharing all that you have. And hopefully that
Of
resonates
course. Thanks for having me.
just whatever chapter of life you're in, just start. You're always going to be busy. I think that's the takeaway too, is no matter what chapter you're in, it doesn't ever slow down. I used to
Yeah.
think,
There's
right,
always things.
it'd be, and now here I am. I'm like, crap, it's busier, but just different. And so one of the best times to start is when you are busy, because then you know that you can do it. So then if life does
Mm-hmm.
slow down, you're like, oh, this is a piece of cake.
Yep. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Conclusion is take time to fill your cup.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever way
Yes.
that
If I,
means
that's,
it, even if it's twerking.
yeah,
Twerking
even if it's
101.
working, twerk
Honey,
away.
if that's your jam, find a strength training. I've never twerked in my life, nor will I. I look like a giraffe having a seizure. It does not look good. I'm too tall. Uh,
Oh,
I will leave that to everyone else. But thank you so much for reminding women to fill their cup, find value with what they're doing, and that they're worthy of this. And it's just baby steps to show up every day. So huge, huge thank you.
thank you.